Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 17th of November to the 23rd of November. I was getting pretty sick and tired of having to peek over into the microphone with, like, the balance was off, okay? I didn't like how Digest has been looking the past couple of months. I don't know, my angle and stuff. So I fiddled around, and I figured something out, and I think it's good. I can't believe it works. But I hope you like the new angle. Anyway, I couldn't bring myself to figure out of a video that I really didn't like or enough to really give it a not good. Once again, what can I say? I don't like watching crap. Yes. Or making myself angry. I just can't, it just boils my... I just don't like it. So I'm just going to talk about videos that I thought were decent. This week, or at least things that are interesting to point to. It was like, wow, that was a thing. The thing I want to start with is the first video I watched in this selection, because I watched it last night, because I was like, no way am I watching all of these videos and a 2.5 hour Digi video. Digi put out Void Chasers 1 Road Trippin' COVID America Fall 2020, and it's on her second channel. And this was a road trip that she had been posting some pictures of on Twitter, etc. And she'd been kind of gone for a little while. And I guess this has kind of happened like right after this whole shake-up with May and everything. And so Digi had bigger ambitions for this, I think. And then that stuff happened, and the whole break-in and everything really rattled a lot of people. So this was just kind of a last minute, kind of a spur. Let's just do stuff. And so they literally went across America. They started in Virginia, and they went to, what is it, Arkansas, I think? Arkansas, then Texas, and then California, and then Las Vegas, and then Idaho, and then back to Arkansas. And I guess they're Arkansas right now, or I don't know if they went all the way back to Virginia Beach. I'm not totally sure, but whatever, would it be? And it was quite the adventure. A lot of different. There's this very neatly split up into chapters of different events and places they went to. Not as much footage of the moment itself, and there was not a lot of staging or anything. It's mostly a lot of candid, like turn on the camera and talk, or and they're in the car, or they're just kind of walking, just chilling and doing random stuff. But I found a lot of the most interesting parts and more insightful parts towards the end. A lot of the self-reflection that Digi had and kind of what she felt about the endeavor, I think, was really interesting. I think a lot of people who have grown to care about her narrative and her, I guess, ethos, but just caring about her as a content creator, as someone who makes really good stuff, but just in general, like someone who is putting themselves very much in their content, more so than I think many of other creators in the space that I talk about, at least. And yeah, there was a lot of really great insights into her psyche and kind of like what's going on. And I really liked some of the more emotional stuff in this. It wasn't like super emotional or anything like that, but it was like, yeah, a lot of the stuff that's really going on with her right now, I think was really interesting for me to watch, I guess. It is very messy and very kind of all over the place. And I like the various beats that stand out, they get stuck in the middle of the desert with like their car at one point, and the whole escapade in Las Vegas was really surreal and interesting and crazy. I liked that the one sequence of them wandering Dallas and being really edgy with the JFK stuff, but also like encountering random people. It kind of had like an all gas no brakes kind of vibe, but not as concentrated, I guess. I think that was a lot of it. There's a lot of really small moments, and I think that really shines through in this big video, but it does feel very bloated in that way, because it's like a lot of travel footage and montage, and a lot of filler insert tracks from Digi's catalog, Trial of the Golden Witch stuff, like Gay and Dead, whatever. And I had no clue who these people that Digi was traveling with were. I was not familiar with them. This was my first introduction to them, and they were all interesting characters, and I thought it was really great hearing their perspectives, and I wish I got to know more about them in this documentary, I guess. I think that was the one thing, especially Mint Salad. maybe just because she was very shy or something, but like it seemed like she was very much of a, she didn't have as much of a presence, I guess, as Riley and Bird, which, that's hard to compete with. That they seem very eccentric, very young and like brash and everything. And I liked the peeks into their character. I know they're real people, right? But but like, as a documentarist, you're getting to know these people, I guess. And to me, I see it as characters. I don't know. I just think it was really interesting. But I really liked it. The various escapades. I just think it was obviously very bloated and kind of all over the place and very not sure. It was like a lot of not very concentrated and specific. Like I would say a really good foil, not foil, I guess, but like a point of comparison, I think, would be Abroad in Japan's current series on Escape to Mount Fuji, which like obviously is very like much more polished and whatever, and I'm not looking for polish. I think it's great that Digi feels very raw, and there's a lot of pitch black footage that they have to like recolor and post, and it's all trippy and weird, and I like that, and I like the music, of course. And it helps with, being able to do for copyright stuff, right? You don't have as many claims on it if it's your own music. I think it's pretty cool. And I like the raw candidness of it. But I think the structure and the narrative that Abroad in Japan has in his videos, like I think if Digi narrated it a little bit in places and that it kind of trimmed the fat, I don't know if this needed to be 2 hours and 26 minutes. I think if this was an hour, you would get all the really good bits and it would be really tight and really interesting. But I know a lot of sequences like the Idaho mountain is really great, and I wouldn't know how to cut any of that, and that's itself a very long sequence, so I understand that that it ends up being kind of long for those reasons. But yeah, I think, or even like if you release this in parts, I think that may have been a little more compelling to like kind of follow week by week, and you can just have more content on the channel, right? Because you just have this would be a one big chunk. And, this is coming from a guy who made a 2-hour Gurren video. That definitely could have been in 5 parts. That could have been more ergonomic. I get the aesthetic of doing one big video. I fuck with that. I like that. But, just as ways, because again, Broad in Japan is also breaking up into episodes, basically, into kind of and you can do like a coming up and, kind of, you have more of a feel of it, like kind of a real TV type of thing. Not that this has to be TV, right? But I just think those devices exist because they're compelling, because it makes it more. I was also watching, and this is a little similar, a little closer to what you're going for. I don't know if you're familiar with Journey Across Wales or Journey Across Norway. Actually, Journey Across Norway just started as of this recording. It like the first episode happened yesterday. It's this guy. If you just look up Journey Across Wales, you'll find it. But like, it's a guy who is attempting to cross an entire country in a straight line, and just hike straight line across an entire country, and that would include like through people's yards. So the first 2 attempts are very compelling, and that again, it's released episodically, and it's very long. They're 20-minute episodes kind of deal, and there's a lot of like kind of fillerish footage. But more importantly, again, he narrates it. I think narration would really help with a video like this, especially the Las Vegas part. I think that the text was really engaged. Like what happened to you in the Las Vegas section is really compelling. And I think it would have been even better if there was more narration to it. I'm not looking for like fully scripted or whatever. It doesn't have to be that, but it could be that, and it could make it more cohesive, compelling, and maybe get an idea of what you're doing. And I get that there wasn't so much of, it doesn't seem like there was much of a plan with this journey, which I kind of liked. I think that was the very visceral spontaneity of it, I think is really interesting. And you could still do that. But maybe let us in on those ideas and your thought process of why did you then decide to go to Idaho and then back here, and then they suggest, it's like, even if you have a little thing like Bird suggested we do this, and, have something like that, and you just document that much more closely, and then you can integrate that in post. I think and then you can keep all the psychedelic stuff and all of the kind of the raw visceral weirdness of it, which I really liked, and it's very compelling. But I know that there's going to be multiple of these, so like, I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm hoping it's a lot sharper. And like you said, the end little vlog type. By the way, it is so freaking surreal. It's some of the sequences in this where it's just like when you were plotting around your room. And a lot of us who are familiar with their content are intimate with that, right? And then to see that aesthetic, but you're like in a desert, in like a literal desert with like cracked rock, like the morning after the rave, in like after the tent and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it was the sequence where you talk about how you took so many of these drugs and you didn't feel any different. Like that was great. That was an excellent section. And maybe because it has some familiarity of you talking into a camera kind of deal. But yeah, I really liked those parts. But that was so surreal. It's just like the big majestic scenery, and you're just kind of walking in the same sort of cadence and the same sort of like framing. It was so weird, but it was really interesting. But like you said at the end of this video, with the similar vlog type thing, where it's like you've learned a lot through just this one journey, and I think that's really great and promising. If you get like an RV, that'd be even more. It'd feel like you would kind of be with them and everything. I don't know, but like that's more like what I would suggest. A lot more structure. It doesn't have to have structure to the journey itself. You can keep all that spontaneity, but then really keep track of the narrative and then present that narrative to us, I would say. And that would be with narration, maybe splitting the chapters that you had in this one video into multiple videos. What can whatever you think you feels right. But I think that would be even better. But I really like what this is so far. Nice. Kind of big news. It looks like a lot, like a whoa. But then you find out it's like, oh, okay. Misty Chronexia is retiring his channel, his current channel of 1 million subscribers, because he gets content strikes and copyright strikes almost every day for like a couple months. And so YouTube, and he has like an insider YouTube, whatever, was told him this, where if you have so many of those problems, YouTube's just not going to promote your content. So his 1 million+ subscriber base, which he's probably developed over the long period of time he's been making videos, and a lot of them probably have moved on or don't use their accounts or something, like a lot of dead accounts basically. And I think a lot of people, I think that's a particular phenomenon to that. But then there's just in general, his videos just don't get pushed anywhere. So he has like this 1 million+ subscriber channel with very bad views, right? Comparatively. So he is retiring it and moving on to a new channel. And so I've subscribed to it. It's Chronexia Infinite, I believe. And yeah, he's just gonna keep doing his thing. He likes making videos. This isn't like him being completely done with it, burnt out, like I kind of thought it was at first, because it did seem like it was kind of a rut with him, trying different stuff. And it's been mostly just kind of Genshin Impact streams and things like that lately. And then kind of going back to the top 10 thing. It's like, but it seems like kind of a rut creatively in that way, but he doesn't want to stop making videos. So that's good. I do like that. But yeah, he's on a new channel, and he's kind of back down to where we are, I guess. So I'm cool with treating him that way, as kind of like this fallen giant of sorts, and like embracing him into our smaller community if he wants it. I don't know how you'd feel about that, but like I think that's interesting, that like, because you don't normally see that personally. This is very interesting and rare for me to see anyway. But yeah, the video I included was his kind of thanks for everything, I loved you all times infinity, sort of goodbye video. And I thought, holy shit, but it's not like he's fully retiring. He is still going to make videos. It's just on a different channel. So that's still significant, interesting. I checked out Gigguk's new video, The Problem with Reviewing Anime, and I was like, oh boy, hot take. And I was especially interested seeing this given the latest Trash Taste podcast, which I would also recommend. I didn't really want to put in here because it's like, there's nothing special or specific about it, I guess. It's just another episode of Trash Taste. But I really liked the kind of candidness and the weirdness he's been feeling, I guess, lately. And it didn't necessarily translate into this video, but it was interesting watching it in that context, where he hasn't seen a whole lot of anime this year. He's kind of burnt out. Him and Joey both, and Connor as well. And they're kind of thinking about like it's less anime related content that gets any views anymore, but it's really otaku centric kind of content. There's another video this week that actually dabbled in that a little bit, which is interesting. But he's totally right. A lot of bigger YouTubers, anime YouTubers, are they're really not talking so much about anime specifically anymore. They're really doing like anime adjacent or otaku centric kind of content, and their perspective on it, I think it was really interesting. And it's true. I do think that there is sort of a dying down of people's interest, and there's a couple factors to that, I think. But this was interesting because I think he made a really good point where people still care about game reviews or movie reviews because there's an immediate monetary incentive. It's like, do I spend my $60 on this game or do I spend my money on this movie ticket? Whereas anime, the episode is mostly free for people, whether you are watching it on Crunchyroll or you're torrenting it. Like a lot of, and it made sense in the 2000s where he talked about here because people would buy these discs and it would have that same incentive as games of these old shows, which is funny. We really are behind. But the timing is way different, basically. And the DVD stuff and the physical media is there's very little reviews for the physical copies themselves because very often they're very bare bones. It sucks. It really sucks where it's like it's kind of just the show and you're not really given anything else. It's because the Japanese companies don't give people anything else to pack in or include in it, I guess. But it's too bad. It's much more niche. So those reviews are for more niche audiences, right? The people who are collectors, etc., etc. But yeah, the actual mainstream, this thing has a score or whatever, and then like everyone knows we don't trust Mal scores or Mal reviews kind of deal. He does talk about that as well. So I thought it was very fair for him to say all these things, especially when he was very transparent about where he came from as a former reviewer. Giving the Bleach a 7 out of 10. It's like, no, that was a good score. That's a pretty fair score for Bleach, in my opinion. Anyway, but yeah, I really appreciated that perspective from him. I thought he did a decent job with it. Another kind of video that I was like, oh boy, hot take kind of deal, or like something kind of I was prepared to get a little angry at, I guess. But Kenny Lauderdale put out identifying anime and things that might be anime. And it's mostly just kind of it's sort of a recommendation video, but I can hardly call it that because it's not like he's recommending these shows to you. He's really just like presenting them as basically show anime that can sort of challenge your perspective on what anime is and the definition of it. Even though it's so simple right in your face, it's animation made by Japanese people for a Japanese audience. That's it. Three things. Animated, and he's like, but what is animation? And it was so I mean, I could probably put this in not good, but to be honest, I think I liked that this was a different video from him. I liked all the different points a lot of the different examples he was bringing up, and a lot of information I didn't know about. I always really like that with his content. He really does some digging and finds some interesting bits of information. Even though the framing of it and the way he says it, it always makes me not trust him. It's like I should probably trust him on this, but they're making it hard. You're making it kind of difficult, personally. That's just kind of my attitude towards his attitude towards it, and I don't know. The delivery of it wasn't my favorite and got me a little but yeah, again, I think I liked the different kind of video from him. It's not just like shitting on something or whatever. But yeah, no, I thought that was interesting. But like, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite, but like, I still appreciate it. I'm not going to give it like a negative score or something like that. Not like I give these things scores anyway. I give them whatever, man. I thought it was fine. Guess who's back? It's Zentagon. I don't know if you guys know about this guy. Let me see when his last video was. But he's been out for a while. I don't think I've managed to review a video on his channel. Oh, the last one was a year ago. Okay, so that's not too far back, actually. February 2019. Yeah, so I think that means I started Digest in August of 2019. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's not made a video since I started Digest, but he used to be a lot more active in 2018 and beforehand. And I like his videos. They're very like low stakes, and it's not like super like whoa, you know what I mean? But this video on Natsunagu, it's a show I had not heard of before. I actually don't know how, I don't remember how long. I think it's more of a short anime. But it looks really cute, and it was a very simple review from him. And that's the thing with Zen. It's very I don't. There's not too much to really pinpoint as like a wow. That's an interesting. Not like that's not a bad thing. I don't know. It sounds bad, but one thing I did like in this video. I liked his his pointing out of the OPs and EDs and like giving the names of them and by this artist. A lot of people don't do that. They're like, the OP's nice, you know? But Zen actually goes out of his way to really talk about the song, and he's like, no, this is really great, and this is how it made me feel. And it's always very low stakes in that way, and it's like, yeah, we'll talk about something you haven't heard of, or just kind of a more low stakes perspective, I guess. I always really like hearing from him, and I'm so happy he's back. I guess he kind of took a bit of a break. A little break. Okay. Phew. But yeah, I'm happy to see him back. And I told him, like, is this for November? Because I'm pretty sure Natsunagu's never had a video on it before, like a dedicated video thing. So like it could count for Pause and Select's Novid thing, which would be awesome. But yeah, I'm sorry I don't have too much else specific to say, but I really liked it. I'm happy he's back. And you know who else is back after a little while is Daburo. When you've seen 2,000 anime episodes, and again, I think he's really funny. I actually think he's like Jack is boy funny. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, and that's high praise, okay? I don't know. It's like the first person that comes to my head is like an actually funny anime YouTuber. Daburo, and like I think Daburo has a really good sense of humor and like creativity to him. And especially the beginning of this video, but as it kind of goes on and on, he gets a lot more like specific to himself. The whole video is very introspective of like how he feels after I've completed 2,000 anime episodes. And he's like, it's not as special to me anymore. I'm not as wowed by absolutely everything. And he makes his observations. Like, it's very interesting that like Gigguk talked about this stage of fan that I was at that time, and I had no idea. I thought that was interesting. But being a little more like personable in his videos, and it's like, yeah, I'm actually studying more, and this is what I'm feeling with the channel, and this is why I haven't posted a whole bunch and things like that. And that was really great to see. You don't get a lot of immediate introspection in that, and that's not even all that well integrated, I guess. Like Daburo just kind of starts talking about it towards the end, and it's like, yeah, wow, okay, good, cool. I don't know. I just really like the vibe that this guy has. And he's not going to upload too often, I guess, because he's been very busy, and maybe he's not feeling as passionate about anime as he was when he watched 1,000 episodes. But I hope he keeps up with it. I think at this point, what I would say with the 2,000 episodes, he made a pie chart of all the episodes he had watched, and like 30% of it was Naruto. And so, and he had all the other shows he had on. And I'm like, so at this point, where what a lot of us would do, who have watched 2,000 episodes, we start looking backwards and we start looking at like a lot of the classics. And I think you're at that point. I'd say start checking out some classics that look really interesting. I know there's some stuff still in your plan to watch, and you're still not like burnt out on it just yet. But I'm like, this is prime opportunity for certain shows to creep in and be like, holy shit, like you'll get that. You can still totally feel that. Even after you've watched hundreds of anime series, not just episodes, because he's only completed 88, but it's 2,000 episodes because he had Naruto. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. But that was interesting. But yeah, I think it's exciting to see, and I'm happy someone at his stage of being a fan is kind of documenting his journey in this way. Actually, I think that's also really interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed this video. It's pretty funny, and it's cool to see from someone in that perspective. It's cool. I got another video from the Animator Dormitory channel. They're always very active, but some stuff is just like, yeah, I'm not interested in clicking on it. That's okay. Japanese audio English subtitle, episode 11. I joined a new studio, and I think they had a typo in the subtitles because it said like September of 2019, but they made it sound like it was a recent thing. So I'm like, you mean September 2020? Which. She didn't really talk so much about the impacts COVID has had on her work. She actually seems to be in a new studio, and she kind of talks about her trajectory as a animator, where she started at one company, and then she quit and went freelance for a couple of months, and now she's at a new studio, and she's actually at a studio where someone she looks up to is working there as a kind of a head, and she's learning from her senpais and things like that, and is really interesting. And wholesome and good. And I really liked hearing that. And, has also some figures about like what she's being paid and stuff, and it's like certain invoice, whatever. It's not as friendly and cheery these videos always feel. They always maintain this feeling of. There is always that uncomfortable, like, yeah, animator, the tough. Why this channel is made is because of the terrible conditions of the anime industry and how these animators are getting paid. But I feel like a lot of that was kind of stripped away for this video, and it was just her experience and her documenting it. And it's like, I'm having a great time, and there wasn't anything. There is some hardship in it. There's not completely absent or anything, but it was mostly a very encouraging video. So I really enjoyed that. I actually. Really liked that, so I recommend you check it out. Seaweed Ambassador is back with the joy of creating Eizouken video, which is like, interesting. So long after the show came out, 2018 when the show came out? No, a couple of months ago, actually, if you can believe it. Almost a year ago, actually, pretty much, interestingly enough. But Seaweed's back with it, and I also noticed you took out the. That's interesting. I just noticed that now. But I really like the personability that you had in this video, where it's a lot of filming yourself, not just like, typical like at your setup kind of deal, but also like some candid stuff of like you talking, like you voicing your script and you filming yourself doing that, to have that idea of like, in my creative process, and it has like transparency and everything. And you talk about kind of the procrastination, or less procrastination and more of, I don't remember what the other word was, but it's like, it's the feeling that fourth member of the film club, the audiophile person, kind of feels, where she just wants to collect a bunch of sounds, and you relate that to how you just want to watch a bunch of other stuff, not just anime. And really expand your palette, and it totally makes sense, and that's great. And enjoy yourself. That's also really important. It's like, what if I want to watch a bunch of this? It's awesome. You don't have to steer things specifically for the sake of content, right? That's always a struggle with a lot of content creators. So like people who make videos, it's like, I'm watching this because I'm gonna make a video on it. You all have heard the song and dance before if you've been listening to Digest long enough. But yeah, I really liked the transparency you had in this video specifically. And yeah, I think that was, I really liked that. It didn't feel like it's an Eizouken video. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Eizouken specifically, like with people talking about it, it doesn't always feel like they get it. Or I guess they get it, but it's like, you're not feeling the specificness of it. And I think a lot of it is because it needs that personable viewpoint, which I think Seaweed has here. I really appreciated the way this video was made and framed, specifically. I think it was a good video. Don't skip this out just because it's another Eizouken video, is what I'm trying to say. I think it has more to it than that. It was really interesting. And TeamFourStar, or Kaiser Neko specifically, again, lip syncing American animation, a Kaiser Neko tutorial. I don't know if he has his own channel. It's like, this should be like, this doesn't seem like something. The weird thing about this is how weird this is to be on TeamFourStar. And I think a lot of their plans may have gotten snagged because of COVID. At this point, I was sort of feeling like, I'm starting to think like, okay, they probably had some other stuff in the works, but it required that office they had that they were filming in that was like really weird, that weird office type comedy thing. They probably can't go in there anymore because of COVID, huh? Dang. So they probably, it's probably just kind of a lot of things are on standstill for them. So hope they're doing all right. But like this is just like kind of some stuff that you do on like a side channel or even a patron exclusive thing. But it was it's actually like just kind of something they threw in here. It's just kind of strange to me, at least. But lip syncing American animation, a Kaiser Neck. I think I already said that. I'm sorry. But like this video, it really is just Kaiser mostly. He doesn't talk a whole lot about it. Talk in it either. It's kind of like what I would offer in my backstage videos, where I'm just kind of working or talking about very blandly the process of making the video and showing the timeline. And even in my latest, actually haven't published it yet. I really should. It's on. Sorry, this backstage video on 1001 Nights. I'll put that on Patreon straight away. Sorry. Even in that one, I filmed it when I was in the middle of making the video. So like I did some similar stuff to what Kaiser did, where I'm figuring it out as I'm showing you, and I'm not talking like Kaiser's not talking so much in this. So like it was a little boring, but I thought it was really interesting. Let's see how I'm trying to yawn right now. Just thinking about it. And that doesn't make it I don't know. Boringness doesn't inherently, I don't know. It doesn't hinder it in this case because it makes sense because it's very technical, and I think that was the spirit of it. It's really to show you the process and how it's demystifying it in a way. It's not like witchcraft or something. Like, how'd you do that? It's like, well, you just do it. And you know, that feeling. So I like that he made something like this, and I thought it was interesting. But at the same time, I'm like, what? And like 4 weeks ago, he did this for lip syncing anime, and I don't know why I didn't talk about it. It's more appropriate for this kind of channel than this video. For Digest, but forget it. You know, that's what we're doing. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting. But it was just kind of strange to see on this channel. Okay, and now what I thought were the best videos of the week. I usually do this every time I do best. That's weird. I think I've done that a couple of times. But the first, best videos of the week. The first one is it's Flip. He's back. It's Philip, but I think he renamed the channel Flip Down Yonder, Zenhuxtable. It has an animation, and you can even if you didn't know it was Flip Down Yonder, you see the thumbnail, and you're like, Zen's back? No shit. Zen's been putting out on this channel, not on his main, nothing on his main anymore. I think he's just like, fuck it. I think he's been making just kind of the licks videos, which he just posts a lot of the compilations of his favorite stuff, his favorite pieces of music and why he likes it so much. I always like those videos. They're so interesting. Good recommendations too. Very easy to watch as well. It's great content, but you know, I feel like I may have talked about it somewhere on Digest, or I didn't feel like it was really worth bringing up in that particular instance. But I wanted to bring this up because it was significant. Even though it's 44 seconds, it's a couple of small skits called Catch Towards. It's just a couple skits, and all the animation is obviously him, but then even the music, like a lot of the licks and stuff, with the exception of Caramel Dancing, which there's a particular skit for. But the audio quality on that, like the sound play on that, where it's muffled and then he opens the door and it's more lively and stuff, like that's great, obviously. A lot of technical proficiency in this regardless. But a lot of originality, really funny, kind of like, there's like a kind of a joke in here, and then some aesthetic thing and some weirdness, and then like the ending, it's in the best category because it has a Doremi sketch at the end of it with like the three girls playing the different instruments kind of wacky and weird in like a forest or something, and they're all jamming to it, and it's the cutest fucking thing, and I love it to fucking bits. Of course I'm gonna put in the best videos of the week by default. There's no question, of course. But I thought that was really interesting and fun. Good to see from him, as usual. So glad. I finally watched another Kevin Nyaa video. The Terrifying Horror of Higurashi. And I've seen a couple of Higurashi videos before, but it's so weird how this is like the first video where like it was really spelt out to me the appeal of this show. As weird as that is, because I always heard about like, oh, it's horror, but it has some funny element. It's slice of life, whatever. But Kevin really spells it out through the first 4 episodes and analyzing that first arc, and pretty much just doing plot summary. But as much as people as like I rag on plot summary a lot, not a whole lot, I guess, because not as many people do it anymore. But like, I don't know, the way Kevin really went by it step by step, and like, this is what the audience would be feeling, and how the character feels, and the experience of watching this show, and why people would say that this is one of the best horror anime, and not just girl torture porn, whatever. It really has these psychological elements to it of like uncertainty, paranoia, that is very integral to horror anything. That like, it isn't just about the jump scare or the blood or the gore or whatever, which a lot of people kind of point to for Higurashi, but Kevin doesn't focus on that at all, or even the contrasting like how subversive, I don't know, the kind of unexpected feeling that, oh, I heard this was a horror anime, but it's actually really cutesy and whatever, haha. Like, I feel like he takes neither of those approaches, and it's like, this is purely kind of what makes this a horror psychological thing. And I totally got it, and it made sense to me. And I was like, wow, why didn't anyone tell me that before? Weird. But yeah, no, I very much enjoyed that video. I watched a video from Dirkoin, and Dirkoin's actually one of my patrons, I believe. Hey, he sent it to me through the Discord. I assume he this much. Yes. What kind of AniTuber are you? Featuring CDog VA. And CDog VA just kind of helps him with the skit towards the beginning and at the end, which I think was funny. It was probably just some I don't know, to demystify it. It was cool. It was cool to see that Connor has kind of a feature in here in his specific capacity. It was funny. But this is sort of a not introspective, but sort of a very I don't know how to describe it. It's like I'm actually having difficulty really describing. So like, what he does is he goes through is like, so you want to be an anime YouTuber, and you got to figure out where you fall into it. And he's like, there's a whole bunch of different kinds. There's AMV makers, and live action skits, and essayists, and comedy, and different things like that. And he basically goes through kind of the appeals and why these exist, and kind of the gist of these kinds of videos, with some very cheeky, pointed points about like, the difficulty of making them, and maybe why people like, because the essay thing was really funny, because like, it's just stuff you put in the background because you want them to be long, so people could put them in the background. It's like, yeah. Or like, he was like lampooning the essayist at one point. He said something like, shoot, it was really funny though. It was like, anime fights, ever since Tom and Jerry, or something. Something dumb like that. It was really funny. And this is the video I was referring to, where he talks about this phenomena of like a lot of YouTubers who they're considered AniTubers because they made one video about anime, and the rest of it they just kind of make whatever that may be anime adjacent, and those are typically the most successful. And I think he calls them like variety anime YouTubers, and it's like, yeah, that is true. And it's interesting with how many videos and users, like not users, channels, duh. No, they're also users, it could be both. It's interesting how many he picks up and references that I don't even know of and didn't think of. I mean, obviously I know about, and it made me reflect about like, oh, the only kind of content I talk about are essayists, and sometimes AMVs, and sometimes comedy, and sometimes variety. But like, mostly, I don't know. I don't have as much of a wide gambit. I think that because I don't talk about bridges as much, he also talks about bridges here. But like, I like that he really talked about like the advantages and disadvantages to making that kind of content, and then just the fact that it's difficult to make any of this content because you have to do this, or it's like, or it's easy. You could just make re-upload fucking clips, like the top 10, whatever, or like a highlight reel sort of thing. It's like, yeah, just don't put any effort in whatsoever. And, kind of lampoons that. But like, I really liked that. As someone who cares a lot about this space, and I'm sure a lot of you do if you're watching Digest. I mean, at least a little bit, right? makes sense. I thought that was really cool, and I really liked that video from him. Thank you for sending it my way as a patron. Again, I think this happened last week, but it's not like, I'm saying it not because you're a patron. I'm not putting it in best because you're a patron, because it was interesting, and I really liked that. But that was cool. That was cool to see. Daniel Santos had a Getting Into Gundam video, and I thought it was very nice. Very prim and kind of formal, Gundam's a big franchise, and here's 5 entry points that are kind of different and have different advantages and disadvantages. And you get a really good idea if you've never heard of anything about Gundam, kind of a really good firm, what's the deal with it, where do I start, and making it less intimidating. Again, demystifying the whole process. And I think his points were generally very sound. Just saying, the animation in Gundam 79 is actually incredibly impressive. There are points where it kind of stumbles, and it's because the animation director collapsed and almost died of overwork. Because that's how incredibly immaculate and detailed the first couple of episodes, the first half of it, is. Which is all the footage you show. It's this is aged. It's it's you don't know. But I get it. I get a lot of people will definitely think that. It's not true. Whatever. But I generally think the 5 recommendations you have here are relatively very sound and make a lot of sense. And it's what a lot of people recommend as well. Definitely. But I really enjoyed that, and the tact you had in this video. Very simplistic, but very that simplicity is very necessary for something that's very intimidating. You need something that's very welcoming and kind of easy to digest. It totally makes sense. But yeah, I really liked that video. It was very good. I'm finally talking about a French YouTuber, RedAbitbol. I'm sorry if I butchered that name up. I'm so sorry. JDG Vuamen. I think it's I took French in high school, but it was very, 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 very long time ago. Eso Nerai Satue. Butchering this so bad, dude. This has subtitles. Again, it's just have English subtitles on this content, and it's great. And I was really happy to watch this. This is in the framing of this bigger YouTuber. He seems a little bit like an angry video game nerd type. But and he's been around the platform for a very long time, at least in French circles. Very notable YouTuber of sorts. But Red is referring to this old video where he talks about Aim for the Ace, less than a minute, where he's not a lot of tennis, whole lot of romance. I didn't watch it. And it's no, it's not even true. There's a lot of tennis in Aim for the Ace. And not even that much romance. There is romance, but not that much. Okay. And so Red is kind of pushing back against that idea and making kind of a general series retrospective, talking about Ace 73, Ace 79, and Ace 2, but not talking about Final Stage because it's not been translated yet. Even though it's translating from... I could have sworn it's translating from a French source, right? I thought the Johnny... That may have been just Ace 2, actually. I think it may have... yeah. And then Final Stage is being done by somebody else, I believe. But the way Ace 2 was getting subtitled was Johnny B. English subs, which I thought were French dub and translating into English from the French dub, I thought. I might be wrong. I guess I may have been wrong about that. But that was how Ace 2 got translated, at least. But we're very close to Final Stage getting translated, so that's great. Even though I watched it without subtitles because I'm that desperate. I wanted to see what happens. Great show. Love Aim for the Ace. And I'm very happy that Red talked about it and was able to kind of demystify this thing. I don't know why demystify is the word of the day, man. I don't know. I don't get it. But he was able to really debunk a lot of the things that this particular JDG guy talked about. Granted, a long time ago, in a video that's more tongue-in-cheek and kind of friendly. He's not really pushing against the guy, but he was basically using it as an opportunity to introduce the show to people that it's like, no, this is actually really cool and interesting. And I think he sells it really, really well. At least until Marion B gets around to it, because she just finished watching it as well. So she'll almost definitely be making a video on it, which is exciting. I'm really looking forward to that one too. But for what we have right now, this is a really good Ace video. And like very few people, like I don't know any English speakers that have actually made an actual Aim for the Ace video specifically like this. So first, that was really good. That was really good. I did happen to see this guy also commented on my Gurren Lagann video. I see you. Thanks for watching that. And I liked this video of yours. Good shit. Another Bonsai Pop bonger. A banger. A classic mom repellent. City Hunter video. Pretty cool. I'm very happy, and I like the approach that, again, I'm happy that he's talking about retro stuff, and I like the approach he had where it's like, you don't have to take this super seriously. You don't have to look deep into the thing. It would make and he was also making it more transparently about himself, where it's like, we don't have to make every video like the best thing, like huge, important, whatever, like a seminal thing. We can just have a lot of fun with this, and City Hunter's a really great time, and I think he really nailed the aesthetic and appeal of City Hunter while avoiding what he did in the Fist of the North Star video and like negating a lot of the substance. I felt like he really focused too much on the surface level appeals of Fist of the North Star, and City Hunter, he actually really was like, here's why they kind of make silly woman ecchi jokes. This is the backstory and the Ryo Saiba's backstory and how cool he is. And this, like, the nuanced detail differences between City Hunter 2 and City Hunter 1. It really makes you feel like he had seen it, whereas like Fist, it's like, did you just watch the movie or something? Like, did you just watch it? Do you know about it? You haven't seen the full show or something? But this actually, even if he didn't watch all of it, and he was like, it's great that I don't feel obligated to watch everything of it and stuff. I really liked that. And, yeah, I thought this was really well informed and really and sells it. And to be fair, perfectly fair, I haven't seen any City Hunter besides the very recent new movie. Actually, I did some work for that for Discotheque, so I watched it. That was my first experience with City Hunter, and from that movie, which I've been told by at least my boss, who's a big City Hunter fan, that like it's very faithful and like very good, like pure City Hunter kind of deal. I enjoyed it, and from what I know of that, I thought this video made sense and seemed fairly accurate to the series. But I could be wrong because I haven't seen it myself the way I had seen Fist of the North Star before I saw his video on it. So, there could be something like that. But for what it is, yeah, God. But what, I really liked it. It was good. Very good. Of course, another STEVEM video. And of course, I'm going to talk about it because he mentions Joe, even though it's not really about Joe. It's about the bassist, or one of the members of this hijacking, very famous. The first time an airplane jacking had happened in Japan at the time, and it was like 1970. And the thing that it's kind of known for is like the declaration they have that we are Ashino Joe, but they don't really get it. They were just kind of appropriating it, and there's not much to it. But the bulk of this 20-minute video is about this particular band that has like a weird French name, but not really French. And the music aesthetic and everything. It's more one of those kind of videos from him. And man, fuck. It's so aesthetically pleasing. He's really doing a lot more tricks with the really great choices with the text and the providing visuals for something that's kind of hard to have visuals for, or you only have like a handful of images. The presentation of these images and representation of this is incredibly visceral and engaging, and really makes you want to listen to him, right? And it's not just boring like, oh, did you know this kind of tidbit factoid whatever. Like it feels like an experience that you're really being sucked into, which I really, really appreciate and enjoy. It's a great video from him. I really, really liked it. Of course it starts with Joe. But it really was just the smallest chunk, and the majority of it was like totally new information. I thought it was really interesting, really fucking sick, really great. got kind of a lower stakes video from the Cartoon Cipher. These anime dubs need to be fixed. And it's sort of like, it's like, I wish this got another dub sort of deal. But they make it very transparent. This is just wishful thinking, and this is a lot based on their opinion, and they're not trying to take away from other people's perspective of it. But they take 5 shows, Utena, Higurashi, Ippo, Ghost in the Shell, the 95 movie, and Gundam Build Fighters Try. Gundam Build Fighters and the first 2 seasons of Gundam Build Fighters that had like really bad dubs somehow. Like in the year of our Lord 2010s, like when I figured that this was figured out by now. Like these are not old dubs. They just got really poor productions, unfortunately, because of something that just happened. I was like, okay. But I really always appreciate from Cartoon Cipher the actual amount of information and studying up and like really not just being like, it's so bad or whatever, just picking up a random line and just say, it's so bad. Like really giving concrete, like, the mixing is off or whatever. This delivery is awkward. This person this person that. And like giving you background information and who made it and the context behind it and why it may have been made that way. And some admirable traits to each of these dubs. And it's like, well, it's a much more nuanced take than, it sounds like crap. Like, God. Like, it's not surface level. It's actually like putting in the effort. This is how you do it, and they're showing it. They're showing how it's done, especially like people who really care about dubs, and they're not pro dub. I mean, they care. They very much seem pro dub, I think, but I think it's the videos like this are very great to kind of give you that whole thing that they're not just dub apologists. Like they're not just being like, the dub is this. They have that information, but they are admitted to it's like, yeah, they probably didn't do the best job with this one. Being very transparent, and I always like that from them. But I liked how low stakes this video was. It didn't feel like they were making this massive point, or not like that's a bad thing. I do like those videos from them. But I personally like that this sort of lower stakes, like wishful thinking, and this is like the observations and introduced me to things that was like I kind of didn't know that Gundam Build Fighters had such a bad dub for the first 2 seasons. That was really interesting. It's like, wouldn't have figured. Oh well, but yeah, I really liked that. Very informative, very interesting. Showing you how it's done. I think that's kind of why it's in one of the best videos for me. And lastly, is kind of the video I enjoyed the most, and not for any reasons you think. Don't judge me. I really just like this kind of video that SeaDogs has done a couple of times, but now SydSnap has. And she has done videos like this before already. I just haven't covered them for whatever reason. And I just thought maybe this is the one I should watch. I don't know. Don't judge me. I got drunk at Japan's first porn star bar. And it got age restricted, of course. Not just for like, the title or something, but just the content in it. It's like, yeah, it's the real deal. And they're showing you it, and they're allowing you. Like, I was very impressed that this bar actually like allowed them to be filmed, to like to show them the kind of the weird stuff that they do. And it is very bizarre. And you can't be like, oh, wacky Japan kind of thing. I think like I can imagine this kind of thing happening in the United States, and it would be, I don't know. It just wouldn't be, I don't know. It is interesting. It's something else. It is a bar, but they serve you drinks in very suggestive ways. They put it very safe for work. And there's different levels, and Sydney explores all of it. And there's a lot of humor, of course, and she's very candid and honest about what she's feeling and how she's feeling comfortable or uncomfortable, or like that was weird or that was funny or that was, she's very open about that, and none of it feels manufactured or manipulative. It feels very authentic, which I guess is the opposite of manipulative. Like, no fucking shit. I'm just trying to give you further descriptors. But I think she held herself really well here. Because I feel like a lot of people would have taken this a little too far and maybe like be a little more wacky and kind of cringy. And like, it's hard not to be a little cringy about some of these activities and some of this, some of this stuff, which is like so weird and like and very pervy, right? Like not safe, like, haha, tee, whatever. Um, but like I thought it was really interesting that this sort of culture sort of existed, or this sort of thing exists. You know, exactly. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I just had like the best time with it. I think she's just very engaging all the way through. Really funny. I had the best time with it, and usually I put the best videos of the ones I had the best time with. What can I say? What can I say? And I'm a fucking pervert. I don't know. No. But I really enjoyed it. Seriously. And yeah, that's it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Beamburst, Hazel, Kuiper, My Anime Pod, Najibeb, Neil S, Tippy Mango, Unique Nameosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. Hope you like the new format. Have a great week. Yo, peace.